Welcome back to the Everyday Hair Colorist. Today's guest is Lisa Farrall, an award-winning hairstylist, a session stylist, founder of Wig London. This lady has lots going on. BHBA Stylist of the Year, Natural Hair Stylist of the Year, Weave Stylist of the Year. Focusing on education and hair equality, teaching the art of texture-neutral hair at Wig London. Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
Great to chat. I've only ever seen you at events where we've run outside and had a quick smoke and a drink and a bit of a dance. So it's really lovely to get to know you today. Thanks for coming on.
Normally like tequila in one hand, a cigarette in the other hand, or something else going on. But yeah, thanks for having me. Like, it's really good to just have a chat, like hairdresser to hairdresser, I think. It's really good.
It really is. And we shouldn't be saying that we're smoking these days. I'm trying to vape. But
okay.
Anyway,
let's do that again then.
No, we'll leave it in. How did it all start for you, hairdressing? How did you get into it?
I mean, I'm from the Midlands, so I'm from a small little town, and I started hairdressing from the age of about 13, and it really came from me just going to the same salon every single day and going, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job, and literally being really repetitive and annoying. And so that's how I got my first foot into the salon. And I didn't really want to be a hairdresser. I was kind of a little bit of a rebel at school. I just wanted a little bit of money to buy cider at the park with my mates on a Friday night. And I thought this was the solution to all of my problems. And it all kind of started from there, really. And I just figured out that, you know, I'm actually good at this. And, you know, people at school had kind of disregarded me as being someone that was just cheeky and rude. But it's really because all I wanted to do was create art, and no one really knew what to do with me. So that's kind of where it all started. That's
a reoccurring conversation, I think, that so many of us in this industry, we could have been bright at school, but we didn't apply ourselves. We didn't enjoy it. We wanted to do something creative, and we were sort of written off in some ways by schools.
Yeah, 100%. And I was always a bit of a rebel. I remember, like, even now, and being like from a teaching and education point of view now, I've done FE, I've done, you know, 14 to 16-year-olds teaching as well throughout my career. And now I'm like, you rude little, do you know what I mean? Because I used to wander in and out of classrooms. I used to be like, yeah, I'm coming in here, like thinking I was some like rude girl. But really it's because no one really knew what to do with me. I was never offered university. I was never offered anything going forward. The only person that kind of really helped me out was, I remember it was the deputy head at the time, and it's because I was doing some Zandra Rose provocative art where I was turning pencil drawings of bananas and I was piercing the ends of them, and they were like, no, you're you're rude. And I was like, it's prerogative, it's art. so that's, yeah, I think we kind of were, you know, wrote off. And I think Gandhi said it, if you've got a horse, a goldfish and a bird and you tell them all to climb a tree, they're not all going to be able to climb a tree. The goldfish can't climb a tree, but it doesn't mean that it's not an amazing swimmer. And I think the school system really kind of, I hope it's changing a little bit, but yeah, it kind of disregarded us creatives a little bit.
I think totally did, unless you were very sort of humble and quiet and just put your head down. I think if you were sort of outspoken, bored and slightly rebellious, then there was loads of problems, wasn't there?
Yeah,
probably
and it's
still
kind
is.
of like, yeah, and it's like any movement. We were kind of then driven to a hair salon where anything goes, and we were allowed to just be whoever we wanted to be, you know, and, you know, that's how we learned how to be in life. So, yeah, I really have a lot of love for the hair salon and for allowing me to just be me.
So 13, you became a Saturday girl, doing the lunch runs, sweeping up, listening to all the stuff in the staff rooms, being absolutely fascinated by it all.
Like literally Friday night after school, Saturday all day. But I was from, you would call it like a vintage salon now, but it was proper old school. I remember getting sent to the local masses, like the hardware store, and he made me ask for like a long weight, a glass hammer. Like he was like old school cheeky chap. It was like boys club. Like this is where I learnt my banter, I swear. I
got asked to go and get a tub of elbow grease from the hardware store.
Did you?
And you know, I still do that, and it takes the kids a couple of minutes to kind of click onto it, but I was so naive that I actually went.
Yeah, me too. But that's what that's all what's fun. And I think people miss out on that a little bit now, because I think there's a rush at the moment. There's a rush, and I do courses obviously at Wig London like we touched on earlier, but I do short courses, but there is kind of this urgency now to want to learn everything straight away. And I really appreciate the fact that I worked from the absolute bottom, and I did have to like laugh at myself and go and get these long weights and, like you say, elbow grease and whatnot.
Yeah, it is. I think it is different now, and the expectations of young people are slightly different to when we were there, because of course a lot of the stuff was disciplines for us, wasn't it? The shampooing, the sweeping up, the knowing how to keep a salon tidy. I mean, I recognise that nobody really wants to do that. I don't think I did at the time either, but those disciplines serve you well. But then we learnt Marcel waving and finger waving and all of that, and pin curls and those kind of things that are very important for a session stylist.
Yeah, for sure.
And incredibly important to create shape. But nowadays, lots of young people can't do that, but they want to get into session and they suddenly have to learn it.
Yeah. Well, this is why I'm a bit of an advocate for real talking, and I do, the real talks with Lisa, because I think a lot of the time people aren't honest about the industry. I know me and you will have an honest conversation, and this is an honest conversation now, but a lot of the times, what's plastered on social media isn't the reality. So yeah, you might see me on a flight to Paris and it looks all bougie, but the reality is I've probably had 1 hour's sleep. My case is broke. I'm worried about my hairdryer, that's got the same adapter on being lost at the airport with my bag of wigs. Like, we need to be honest about the whole situation, and to be able to adapt to those situations as a session stylist needs experience, and you need to be able to be calm, and that comes from, the training that we had back in the day, and being able to put that all into our everyday experience to what we're going to do now. So I think we have to be honest about that it's not all, Instagram pictures and selfies. It is like hard, painstaking work, and I love it, as do you. So it is worth it, but we have to be honest about that journey as well, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm sometimes guilty of putting a nice picture up of sort of an airport lounge or something like that, but the trudgery and the panic of making sure you've got everything through, and have you got enough of everything that you need for that event, and you're absolutely worn out, and then the time change and they expect you to go straight into something. It is different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous. I mean, and you just have to do it for the love. You do it because you love it. I love being on music videos. I love being around other creatives, and I wouldn't change it. At times I'm like panicking about when my invoice is going to be paid, when the next job's coming in, especially living in London, with the rent prices, this, that and the other. I want to buy somewhere. It can be stressful, but you have to be realistic and go, do you know what, this is the life that I choose, because I like unpredicted times. Yeah. I can be working for like a month solid and I'll be absolutely exhausted, and I'll be like, all I want is a normal life, Netflix and a bath. And then, I'll have 2 days off and I'm like, oh my God, where's the next job coming from? What am I doing? And like, that's the reality of it. But, I kind of love it. It's a bit addictive. It's
very self-employed though, isn't it? It's very gig economy, waiting for the next job, and then you've got a ton of jobs and you're absolutely, oh my God, I can't cope with this, on to the next one, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly it's like, okay, now let's wait for the invoices. But before you got to session, so you go into the salon full time. What was that like? What was that training like for you? How long ago was that? Over 20 years ago, yeah?
Babe, you never ask a girl her age.
I'm not asking your age.
But no, yeah, it was about 20 years ago now. But I worked in a salon full time, but I also went to college full time. I didn't do an apprenticeship.
Right.
Because my full-time hours at college was like 2 or 3 days a week, so I could still work full-time in the salon and do full-time at the college. Like, full-time to me is 5 days, so it didn't make much sense to me. I was like, I'm just going to try and get the best of both. So then going full-time into the salon, it was great, but like I say, the salon was really old school, so I learned all the fundamentals, like you say, Marcel waves, your pin curling, how to make a hair up last a week. Do you know what I mean? Yes. I was taught all of that. So after I kind of qualified, I ended up working in the salon for a little bit. But because it was, in a small town, and I've always kind of been a bit of a city girl, I then started to venture out a little bit more. And I ended up working, I used to travel 60 miles to go to Birmingham, actually. And I worked in a salon in Birmingham. And that's where I actually started to learn how to do Afro hair, because at college they told me, don't do Afro hair. The word they like to do their own hair. You won't be accepted. There's no point. And I was like, listen here, Sandra. Sandra. the reason that there are separate salons is because there's no place for people with afro hair to go on the high street. So I took it upon myself to travel. I think it was like a 90-mile round trip to Birmingham. I learned how to do afro hair. I did a course there, and I ended up working in Birmingham. So that's kind of where that started.
This work ethic is started out from an early age, like the determination to fill that week, and then to go and to suddenly reach out and try and learn a new skill, which is always amazing anyway. But for a very young person, what motivated you?
I mean, I always say I've got my mum's dance moves and my dad's work ethic. Like my family is very work orientated. We're from like really humble. I'm from a mining village, so everyone kind of worked. There's no privileged background. Everyone works and shares what they have. So for me, it was kind of a given that I'd always wanted to be successful, and my dad was always like, do something that robots can't do. And my mum and dad never really gave me any pressure. They always had my back. Even when I was in trouble, they had my back. If I got, I remember, one night getting arrested and they were there like having my back. Do you know what I mean? Because when I was a little bit rebellious, and all they ever kind of said to me was, whatever you do, always make sure that you have manners, you're respectful, and you be the best that you can be. So if you're stacking shelves in Tesco, be the best shelf stacker that there is. Like whatever you do, just give it 110%.
Yes.
And I think because there wasn't that pressure there, I always had these high expectations of myself, and I just didn't like to think that I couldn't do anything. But I think when you want money, and even if it's kind of a bit of pocket money for Friday night, I had it in my head that I had to earn that myself. So I didn't want to have to ask anyone for anything or rely on anyone for anything. So that's kind of where that came from, I think.
That's brilliant. That's the best message a parent could give to a child, really, isn't it? Just be the best that you can be.
Yeah, no pressure,
So Birmingham was your first big city.
Yeah.
How did that go? What was that like for you?
Oh my God. I love Birmingham. I spent a lot of years there. So when I was in Birmingham, the actual tutor said to me, will you come and work in our shop on a Saturday? Because I was like, I need some experience. I need some hands-on experience. And I was like, yeah, of course. And at this time, I was then working in a real big chain, a real high street, high-end salon as well. So I squared it with them. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be working Saturdays anymore because I'm going to be going working in, another salon. And this was a traditional Afro hair salon. And for anyone that's seen Beauty Shop or Next Friday, I was the only white girl in there. No one would sit in my chair. Everyone would walk past me and look at me. And then if someone did sit in my chair, it was because they wanted either a wig put on or they wanted their hair to look European. So it was it's an amazing time. I was there for about 6 years. I learnt so much, but I really had to earn my stripes. Like I earned my stripes. I had to prove myself. And then after a while, I was getting booked out, and I was like, yeah, this is all good. But yeah, I had to earn that, and I'm really humbled and grateful for that as well, because especially where I am in the industry and how much I talk about being texture neutral and Afro hair, and I try and use my platform, it's not something that I've kind of decided that like 6 weeks ago. This is something I've been doing for like 15 years. So it's really important to me, and that background's really important to me too. That's brilliant
that another salon would let you go and do something in another salon too, because normally people get really annoyed about that kind of thing. So that was a gift, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Then to go and have to prove yourself, and I can imagine what that would look like, because the dialogue that goes on then, and I experienced that dialogue in the US as well, was that the hairdressing industry is quite segregated.
Very.
And so there's this sort of, but it isn't just in the UK, it's also in the USA. Most people go to what they perceive as either Afro-Caribbean hair or black hair, and then other people go to Caucasian hair. How did you prove yourself in that?
Just by learning my craft, I learned how to do Afro hair, but also I learned that as a white woman especially, I'm not taking space, I'm creating space. And that was really important for me. It's not about taking space, it's about creating it. And by that, I mean, I'm not going in there and trying to take someone's place. I'm there going, okay, I want to be able to do every single hair type. It broke my heart when I saw someone get turned away from the salon based on their hair texture.
Yeah.
And ultimately, to me, that was based on the colour of their skin, because anyone can have any hair texture now. Like, we are all a big mixing pot, and that's been there for centuries. So you're basing a consultation off the colour of someone's skin, and that to me just screams segregation, and I hated it. So I didn't really give this salon that I was in much choice, but also it was to their advantage because they wanted me to be, you know, the hairstylist that could do someone's hair if someone came in. And from that salon, I'm not going to say their name, but they are, you know, big at Fashion Week as well. That then turned into me, you know, going backstage at Fashion Week and being put in a corner and going, okay, all the black girls go to Lisa, you know, so it benefited them as well. But I didn't really give them much choice. I had a very clear plan of this is what I want to do, and I'm not going to be deterred from it. But proving myself is just from doing it and showing it. Like, if you walk the walk, you got to talk the talk. That's my motto, and that's what I had to do.
It's brilliant. That's a fascinating story. Well done. From there, so I mean, you know, this resume sort of blows up, really. Music video, all of that. So you're working in 2 salons. You're learning something that you didn't understand, which I think is so important in our industry anyway, that you weren't taught in our industry, which we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Where next? What happened then? I mean, this is an incredible story.
I know, it is a bit of a story. And I think I do have to really say as well that, you know, working in, you know, a predominantly European salon as well. And I think I have to say this message as well, because I think even one of my friends called me the other day and she was like, I feel like such a racist because I don't do every hair type. And, you know, it's not that. It's not that anyone needs to feel bad about it. And I'm not saying that because salons don't do all hair types that they should feel bad about it either. I'm just saying that there's no education out there, and that's why I put education in place for it. But it's not to make anyone feel bad. It's just that, you know, I just think it's really important. So, yeah, so working from them 2 salons, I then went on to teach at a private academy. So they said, okay, will you come in and teach? So I was still working at these 2 salons. Juggling. I think I was only about 21 at this point, and they were like, okay, we've got a new course coming up where you teach, it's 14 to 16 year olds, alternative provision. So these are kids that have been kicked out of school, college won't have them, we're going to teach them hair. So it's me in my leather jacket thinking I'm Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds. I was like, let me have them. That was literally, I'm not even joking. I remember saying to my sister, I was like, yeah, I'm Michelle Pfeiffer, let me have them. And that was, you know what, I loved it. Even it's one of the highlights of my career. Out of everything I've done now, that was one of my highlights, them kids. Because everyone had written them off. We had meetings with their parents, and the parents had written them off. And you know what? I spoke to like one of the girls, like this is going on how many years later, and she's got her own salon in Birmingham. She's got a family, she's making money, and it's just so rewarding. Like, these kids that were written off are like, I've got careers now, and they're doing really, really well for themselves. And I'm like, that's like got to be one of the highlights, definitely.
I wonder what a bunch of 14 to 16 year olds who have been written off was like to teach, because I'm sure they came in there with that, carrying that with them already. Yeah. And then you walk in with your leather jacket and your blonde hair.
Yeah, I mean, they were sucking their teeth. One girl picked up a chair once, but I was young. I was really young to go into that sort of teaching environment. So if someone starts sucking their teeth, I suck my teeth and I'm like, get out. I'm like, I ain't having that. Like, maybe it's really bad because I shouldn't have really been talking like that in my position. But I was like, if you don't want to be here, get out. And I kind of had that mentality, and I kind of, because I was not a similar age, but I knew their background. I was like, I know where you're coming from, but I'm going to give you a shot here and don't waste my time. So I was very real, upfront and honest, and I think they really respected that, and they did. They really turned around. Like, yeah, like honestly, it's like one of the most, I just smile thinking about it.
It's heartwarming as well. And when you look back and when you're speaking to people still now and they're working, and you were part of that journey for them to help them into this industry.
Yeah, definitely. And there's no such thing as naughty kids. Like, I hate this. And, I think because I was like maybe classed as one of them that was a bit like cheeky or whatever, there's always a reason behind everyone's actions. And I think something that I've learned as I've got older is how someone treats you or talks to you isn't about you, it's about them.
Yes.
So, if someone was to push past you on the tube or talk nasty to you, or, a partner or whatever, that's not about you. That's something that they're going through. and you need to remove yourself from that situation, because a younger me would have been a bit mouthy and gone, who the hell do you think you're... But now, as you know, a 33-year-old woman, there's my age, boom, mic drop.
Done.
I would be like, I would just take a few deep breaths and go, do you know what? They're going through something right now, so allow it, you know? And I think that's really important.
I think learning that by the time that you're your age now is incredible. I think it took me a little bit longer to do that. It took me some decent therapy sessions to kind of look at people and sort of forgive them for it and take myself out of the situation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it took me a while to get there, but, you know, 33, I feel like double my age from what I've been through. So I'm like, I got there a little bit quicker.
And from the teaching, how long were you doing that for? Because that must have been, besides joyful, it must have been hard. Yeah,
I mean, it was hard, but I think I just really just took it under my wing. I absolutely loved it. I really did. And I think I'm very practical focused. So if someone tells me to do something, I'm kind of like, why? So if I can explain why, that's how I do my teaching now. If I can tell you why that I want you to do something, not just because, then that's the reason that you're doing it. And I think when I'm teaching, and that really helped with those kids as well, because they were like, you know, I'm getting why you're saying it. You're not just telling me to do something for the sake of it. I'm like, no, I want you to clean all up because of this reason, or I need you to do your sections neat because of this. And I think that was really important that I could relate like that. And also I was like, you know what, I haven't got to be here. I'm here because I want to. I want you to succeed. I'm not a hairdresser that goes figure it out. I want to show you what to do, and I want you to be better. If you're not interested, then leave. You ain't got to be here. No, everything's a choice. So yeah, I think that's really important.
I think in education that is important, isn't it? Because it's to be able to explain it in simple, clean, understandable pieces so that people can then take it and they can use what they like out of it, but they understand. So education played a key part for you, Lisa, early on.
Yeah.
Obviously, educating yourself, which I think is like monumental and so important for personal growth, but also mentoring and looking after others. When was the decision to set up Wig? And what were the thoughts around it and the reasons why?
So Wig London started in about 2016. Now, I remember the date really well, because what kind of happened was I was a session stylist. I was still doing session work. Like I said, I was always, you know, the girl that would do all the afro or textured clients at Fashion Week. And I started, as part of like session work, I started teaching at an academy in East London. And through that, I ended up becoming like a freelance manager for them, and, you know, putting courses together, managing a team, and this, that, and the other. And then in 2016, I actually won 3 awards for my collection Armour at the Black Hair and Beauty Awards, and I was a finalist for the British Hair Awards as well. And this collection literally went absolutely viral. So it got sold in America. Will Smith all retweeted it. It's still out there now. And when I do a collection, if I'm doing a collection for myself and it's not a job, I always tend to put something out there that's quite political and, you know, that sends a subliminal message. So that's what this collection was about. So in 2016, I won all of those awards, and the company that I was working with as a freelancer on the side was kind of like trying to take ownership of it a little bit, and they didn't like the fact that I was getting a lot of attention, because you can't control the internet, you know, and it was just going crazy. And for me, I was like, I didn't see the problem with it, because I was like, you know, you had nothing to do with this collection. So anyway, from that, they kind of was like, we don't want to work with you anymore because you're more known than now the academy. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And from that, I was like, screw that, I'm just going to do my own thing. So that's when I launched Wig London. It's
very disheartening when I hear things like that, because I found, even myself, that coming back into the UK and wanting to be a brand within a brand and things like that, that some companies just didn't get it.
No.
And other companies really get it and really understand it. And it's not like you're taking away somebody's voice, you're adding to the conversation. And they are too. And I just find it really sort of disheartening, because I think a weaker person would would fall under that and say, oh, okay, you have it all.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, okay, then I won't do that. But the reason this industry is so great is because people rise up to the occasion, not because you're just working for someone.
And I think people do try and bully you a little bit and belittle you. And don't get me wrong, like I've been knocked down a few times, and it's just important that you get back up. And this is what I say to anyone that comes on a course. Like, I have won a few awards, but I've also lost a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. People forget that bit, don't they?
I've lost a lot too.
Yeah.
So, you know, and everyone's like, oh my God, you're so humble when you lose. You're such a, you know, a good loser. And it's like, well, you know, it just obviously wasn't my time. It doesn't mean I don't go home and maybe like shed a tear over a glass of Chardonnay. But it's important that, you know, there are a lot of losses as well as the wins. And I think that's just like, that is so important. And I think as well, I always describe myself as Slumdog Millionaire. With, you know, I'm working on the millionaire bit, but definitely, if I don't know if you've seen the film. Have you seen the film? Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, yes, I've seen the film.
Yeah, so everything that I've gone through or experienced has prepared me for something else. So, you know, working in that vintage salon enabled me to be able to do vintage hair. Then, you know, going to that place in Birmingham to learn Afro hair enabled me to learn how to do Afro hair. That then tied into me working in the salon and being, you know, put on Fashion Week, but also being given a bit of a spotlight, taking that negative of being put in a corner to do Afro hair and using that to my advantage, to then working, you know, with troubled kids and, you know, to where I am now. It's all kind of a journey to lead you where you are, even to that guy, like, basically sacking me because, you know, I got too popular in the hair industry, made me, you know, create my own course and my own academy and this, that and the other. So everything leads and, you know, is directing you to somewhere else, and you've just got to just keep getting back up, I think.
I think that's really important, isn't it? I think there are moments when I can remember sections of my career when I've been absolutely furious that I've either been held back or, you know, life's been made difficult for me and frustrated. But my kind of motto is just like get up and get on with it, because the next job comes along or the next opportunity. But as you look back on the story, you actually realise that if you hadn't been through those things, you wouldn't be where you are now. So I've ended up feeling just thankful for all the experiences.
100%. You've just got to give thanks, and you've got to be thankful, because it just sends you on a different path. And I think sometimes we forget that, and we have to remember that, because it's really easy, especially from like our background of the generation where we learned how to do hairdressing. You kind of, and it's still to a certain extent now, but when you go into a salon, you don't show any emotion. You know, you might have been to a funeral, you might have broken up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, had an argument, you might even be hungover, but you go in the bathroom, you have a cry, you put your lipstick back on, you come out and everything's fine. You hide all of your feelings, you hide everything. And we had always taught that. But again, now I'm starting to remember that it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to be able to say that you're not okay, because for a long time I hid all of that. I hid my emotional breakdowns and going, oh, I don't feel like I'm good enough, you know. And yeah. We
were always taught not to bring your private life to work, which, considering we are people, is sort of an odd thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about the Academy. 2016, you set it up. What was the response like?
I'll be honest with you. So 2016, Wig London launched, and predominantly it was all about training courses. So it was about me doing private clients. It's like an umbrella. So Wig London has got like a salon, it's got an agency, it's got the academy. And the academy is either renting out pop-up spaces, or we go to salons and teach them how to be texture neutral. We teach them how to do all different hair types, how to colour Afro hair. But it's not just about going into European salons and teaching them how to do Afro hair and being texture neutral, although that is a big part of it. We also go into Afro salons and teach them how to do European hair as well, because obviously working in an Afro salon, I remember teaching the guys how to do my hair, because, you know, don't need as much oil, you know, you can't put I was taught with the oven, with the hot tongs, and you know, you can't put them on my hair because my hair's just going to snap off. Like, I was like, no, get away from my hair. So it's about just these little techniques that we teach both salons to be inclusive of each other and, you know, become one. So in 2016, when that started, I'll be honest with you, because I'd got a lot of attention from the awards and also from being a session stylist and people knowing who I've worked with, there wasn't a lot of people booking Afro courses. You know, it was still very much, you know, I don't have that many Afro clients, so I won't bother. Or no, I just do Afro hair. I don't feel the need to be able to do both. So it has been slow and steady. Most of the courses that are the most popular ones are to do with session styling, which, you know, I'm really grateful for. But I still, you know, encourage all of it. I think over the last sort of 18 months, everyone started to pay a bit more attention to the fact that there's not really any Afro hair courses out there. And when you type it in, Wig London comes up. Especially with what's going on at the moment, people are very aware of wanting to do it. So I hope it's not a trend and people actually start booking courses, because the proof's in the pudding, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, when you look at your Instagram feed, you talk about all sorts of different textures. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. Texture neutral. What do you mean by texture neutral, really?
Okay.
It's like hair is hair?
Yeah.
Hair is hair, isn't it?
Yeah, hair is hair.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you said it. Hair is hair. So when I talk about texture neutral, it's about being judged on the texture of your hair and being able to do all hair types rather than being judged on, you know, the colour of your skin. So texture neutral really means that you can do all hair types and you don't get priced ridiculous amounts of money because you've got textured hair, because you don't want to say that you can't do it. There was a study, I think, that Stylist Mag did, and they sent an Afro woman with a big Afro. I think she was a model or an actress. I can't really remember, which is bad. But they sent her into all these salons on the high street, and instead of saying they couldn't do her hair because obviously they felt bad, they would put a ridiculous price tag on it so that it would deter her from getting her hair done. And I think that's what it's about. It's about just being able to include everybody and being able to walk up the high street. I mean, London's a little bit different, but being able to walk up the high street and be able to walk in and get your hair done. I mean, I always thought, you know, if I get married and, you know, a bonding experience is getting your hair done with your friends, half of my friends can't come to a salon with me because they don't do their hair type.
Yeah.
Like, that don't sit right with me. Like, really don't. Like, my nieces, my nephews, all brown with curly hair. You know, I've got friends that are black, mixed, family members. We're all mixed, but we can't go to the same hair salon. What a bonding experience to miss out on. And I think I saw that firsthand from being a hairdresser, as you will. I never went to a hair salon and got my hair done, but I could see these families, mothers and daughters, sons, everyone coming in. And it's like, what? So if you're a multicultural family, you can't do that? Crazy. That's like saying, like, yeah, you can't take your black friends to the hair salon with you. No, I don't sit right with me.
Well, you know, the thing that really surprised me, so, I mean, you know, I colour hair and I have a majority Caucasian clientele, but I also have people of other races and colours and creeds and religions and faiths and all that, and I enjoy all of it. And it is in London and it is a multicultural salon, which is good. But what surprised me in the last few weeks is that the MVQ doesn't even cover Afro-Caribbean hair.
Well, with the MVQ, because like I am a lecturer and assessor, like in my background, right. I did do that as well. We missed that part of the story out, but yeah, I went to university and got some stars and stripes. But
I think we might need 2 episodes with you.
I know, crazy. But so the MVQ, it's an optional unit. So when you do your MVQ, you have the option to do it on European or Afro-Caribbean. I think they call it African Caribbean is the true texture to it.
Right.
But yeah, you have the option to do it on either. So the option is there. But if you're in a predominantly white area, or you have a team, you've got a faculty that doesn't know how to do textured hair, it's not going to be put into the curriculum for that year, right, because there's no one that can do it. So I think you do have the option, the same as when I was in Birmingham, there was courses that were going on that only taught how to do Afro hair. It wasn't a mix.
Yes.
And I think that's where the struggle is, because if you then admit to an MVQ that needs to be able to teach both, you need to then reevaluate your whole faculty or retrain them. And I don't know how that's going to go. I hope that they retrain or bring people in or bring specialists in. I think that's what's needed. But yeah, at the moment it's an option. Yes,
and that's probably what I mean by that. I didn't know that it wasn't actually part of the syllabus that you had to do.
Yeah, no. That's which is mad, because I always say, and this is how I was taught, if I have to do, I remember when I did my training, because my boss had a real big involvement. For me to do a straight blow dry, he made me do a straight blow dry on curly hair. Like, get that straight and you pass.
Yes.
That's how it was. It wasn't, you know, someone coming in with hair like me do a straight haired blow dry, because it'd be like, you know, you've only got a blow on it and it's done. So,
well, you know, sort of, when I'm teaching, I always say, you know, a lot of English clients have 3 hairs and a wish.
Yeah.
And I remember when I moved to the States, and these heads of hair that were massive, and they were really curly, and all different cultures, of course, and you had to do a full head of foils in 45 minutes, and you'd be like, when I first started, I'd be having a heart attack because there was so much hair and I wasn't used to it.
Yeah.
But the thing that many women complain about when they've got curly hair is their blow dries don't last, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is that if you get known for doing good quality work on, you know, blow drying curly hair smooth and things like that, you have clients for life.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially if you look at, you know, one of my friends has got a salon in Tottenham, and it's predominantly Turkish.
Yes.
And oh my God, the blow dries that they do in that salon are they're amazing, because it's all that they do every single day. And I think that's with everything. It's not saying that you can't specialise in something. It's just that, you know, just having that knowledge of being able to do every hair type, I think is important. I'm not saying that everyone's got, it's just about being inclusive. And if you've got a salon, or, you know, you have got a platform, being able to show inclusivity, all different hair types, I think, you know, really important. And if you're not taught that in you know, in your MVQ, then just go out and like maybe do a little course, or, you know, learn how to do it a little bit. I think that's the message that I'm trying to deliver more than anything. And it's not saying that you have to do afro hair in your salon, but it's about being inclusive and knowing that you're not going to turn someone away. And wouldn't anyone want to be able to be in that position of not turning anyone away based on the colour of their skin?
Absolutely.
Even just saying that, like, it's uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it is uncomfortable for people to talk about. But I think you're right. It's about being able to do all of it. But, you know, you specialise in something. Like, you know, I can perm hair. My relaxers on curly hair on anyone aren't so great because I don't do so many of them. And my balayage is stronger on hair, whereas my 4 highlights, I'm sort of like, oh, do I have to do those today? Kind of thing. You do get known for something, but it's about being able to do all of it if possible. Yeah,
definitely. And that's exactly it. You know, I think I'm kind of known for textured hair. I mean, I do all hair types, but I think predominantly people are, oh yeah, you do, like, you know, afro hair, you do textured hair. I do actually all hair types, but you end up just getting booked for what people know you as or what you enjoy. And I guess when you enjoy doing something, that comes out in your work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's talk about pop videos, music videos, celebs, and a little bit of backstage. I mean, this huge career crammed into a very short period of time. What was your first music video?
Yeah, I mean, it don't feel like a short period of time. I feel like that's what I'm saying. People see the big videos with like Ed Sheeran and Travis Scott and Harry Styles and all of that, and they're like, oh my God, like, but it's taken a long time.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, even now, like, it's a lot of the times you're chasing stuff constantly, and it's just, you know, hoping that someone gives you recognition for a job on one time and gives you that chance or options you out. So, you know, I'm not represented by an agency.
The reason I say to you in a relatively short time, of course, is because my career is nearly double yours. So it seems like a very short period of time to me. So, you know, I'm at 38.
We're the same age.
No, I'm at 38 years now. So, you know, it's a longer story. But people do think it happens overnight because suddenly they see something and they're like, oh, I've just recognised that name. But of course, it does take much longer than that.
Yeah.
What was so your first music video? What was that like? Who was it? What did you do?
Oh my God, do you know what? I can't even remember, but I'm pretty sure it would have probably been in a field with no budget, and it was probably on Channel U.
I love it. So you didn't start off with Ed Sheeran then and all that?
No way. I've done it all, honestly. I've been on sets in a warehouse where they've let off a flare gun in the artist's hand, and it's nearly blew our hand off. I've done it all, been through it all. I couldn't even tell you the first video that I did.
I love the honesty and I love the humility on it. I could start it off in a field somewhere. I mean, again, everyone wants to be so famous straight away, and it's just not. It isn't like that, is it?
No, stop trying to be like. Can I swear? But stop trying to be fucking famous. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's not about that. Just have a skill, be good at it, master your craft, and be really proud of what you do. I think that's really important.
Honestly, I've really enjoyed today's conversations with you. And I feel like I know more about you now, which is even more interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to talk to you even more about it.
I feel like I've just been talking. I want to hear all about you a bit more. Tell me about the United States. Come on. I want to hear it all.
Maybe another session or over a cocktail when we can finally meet.
Yeah, when we can get out of this craziness.
Now, on social, you're really very active on social. You have fantastic stories on social, as well as images on your main page. I love your stories. Quickly about your lives that you're doing.
So it's so weird that you said that about my stories, because my stories are just kind of like, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I need a break. And it's just, like I say, it's just about being completely honest. And I think that's like really important, and being able to laugh at yourself, because, you know, we're all human here. Do you know what I mean? 1 week I'm eating noodles, the next I'm drinking champagne. Like, this is our life. Like, it's just like being honest about it. Don't make anyone feel bad about themselves. So with my lives, I've been doing Real Talk with Lisa. And that's just about being really honest and talking about different experiences, talking about what happens in the industry, and just being really frank and honest. And I think that's what's needed to hear. I think people need to hear that as well. And I think I get so many messages going, do you know what, thank you, because, you know, sometimes people just look at Instagram and they scroll and they feel bad about themselves and they don't feel like they're doing enough. And it's really refreshing. What I want you to do is, I didn't just want to do something for the sake of it. I want you to just be like, it's okay that you're not learning origami, kung fu, learning how to cook vegan Thai curry, and learning, you know what I mean, all these things in lockdown. Like, it's okay. It's all right to spend a day in your bed watching Netflix, or, you know, replying to emails when you haven't showered for 2 days. Like, it's normal. It's fine. Like, stop feeling bad about yourself. And also talking about what we go through in our lives and in this industry, to make people understand that it's not all plain sailing, but, you know, you're going to be all right. You're good.
I love that.
Building a community. It's like me and you talking now. Like, we ain't rivals.
It is a community.
I hate this rival thing where people are like, oh, I can't talk to such and such because they do hair, and like, no. Like, I love community. Like, session stylist, you know, like, it can be a lonely place. I love talking to people. I love hearing stories. I love nothing more than a cocktail and some camp conversation. Like, I love it. So why not, like, reach out to people and create a community? And I think, you know, I love that. I love that about our industry.
You're on speed dial when lockdown's over. We're going out.
Please. I can't wait. I've already got my moves. I don't know how I don't even know if I'm going to be able to work after quarantine. I don't know whether it's like I'm set.
Now, talking of moves, can you do a TikTok challenge?
What now?
No, have you done one?
Oh. I'm like, nah, let's go, get it on. I'd done a few. So in lockdown, I've been staying with my sister because I came to visit just before we went on lockdown. So I've been staying with her and the kids, and she's got 3. She's got 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 14-year-old. So the 14-year-old's been teaching me a little bit of TikTok. So I've done a few with her. And obviously, because I only came with a suitcase, all of my clothes are leopard print. So then when this Tiger King Carol Baskin came out, I feel like she's completely stole my identity. So I've been trying to do a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I try and just distance myself away from all of it, and then I'm like, I'll have a little splurge. Well, yeah. What about you?
I'm on TikTok, but I'm not doing any dance challenges or anything. I just got putting videos up, but I did a speeded up balayage application,
Fab.
And it had 909,000 views.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah,
because you're so good at social media. Like, you say that I'm good, but I feel like I'm really rubbish because I just, like, there's no organisation on my feed. I just post what I want to post when I feel like it. I chat rubbish on my stories, just being honest. But you're really, really good at it. And I think all of these platforms can be a little bit overwhelming when I'm just like, I just want to create art and sit in a cave and just talk and help and save the world. And like, it gets all a bit overwhelming. But I think you're someone that, you know, it's just, you're on it, like, you're really good at it.
I think it can all be overwhelming, and there are days that I certainly don't want to do it, and there are days when I disappear, and there are days when I lay on the sofa and the dog's barking and the cat's meowing, and I just want to, you know, turn the world off. But There are other days when I get on it and I enjoy it. But I enjoy my message on social, really. So, and that's really about a community of people who like hair painting and podcasting. Of course, I love talking to people about their stories because we all start off in a salon.
Yeah, definitely.
We all are everyday hairdressers, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think that's what comes across, and the way that you've picked up on my Instagram and I've picked up on yours. I think the key word there is like what you've just said. It's just about doing something you enjoy and just being authentic. Just be your authentic version of yourself.
Yeah.
And stop trying to be anyone other than that because everyone else is taken. Oh my God, is that Oscar Wilde? I'm killing it with the quotes today.
You are killing it. So Lisa, for those that don't know you, what's your Instagram account?
Lisa Farrall. So LISAFARRALL. And then there's also one for Wig London, which is Wig_London.
Brilliant, guys. If you want to see what she's up to, follow her. She's an amazing account and an amazing woman. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as I did making it for you. Don't forget to subscribe on your channel that you download your podcasts from. iTunes is my favourite, but I know there are others out there. And also, if you want to follow me on stories on Instagram, it's jackhowardcolor, COLOR, the American way, not the English way. And on Facebook, it's jackhowardcolor, COLOR. And my website is www.jackhowardcolor.com.